Sometimes an event occurs of such a magnitude that we cannot even begin to comprehend its meaning. It's only the passage of time that allows us to realize its true nature. In 1957, Adolf Eichmann was tried by the High Court of the State of Israel for crimes against humanity, convicted and sentenced to death. I accompanied Eichmann on his final journey, along with other survivors, one from each of the death camps. June 14, 1943. I arrived at Mauthausen with my wife Martha, our son Richter 10, and our daughter Sophie 3. Women and children under 12 to the right, men and boys to the left, the guards shouted as we disembarked the train. I thought it best to keep my son with me. Yet, when an officer approached and asked his age, I could not lie. I was afraid. But he's big for his age, I pleaded. I and your mother, schnell, he barked. And Richter started running down the long row of women and children. Off in the distance, I could see Sophie's red coat bobbing up and down as she was carried in Martha's arms. The coat! Sophie's coat, I shouted. I don't know. Perhaps a merciful God heard the words of a terrified father and carried them to the ears of an innocent child, because it seemed that he turned to me for an instant, and then he started running again. Only now with a purpose. And my Ricky could run. He was very good at soccer. Eventually, the row of women and children just swallowed them up. But I could still see the coat. It was a dot becoming smaller and smaller. And I struggled to keep my eyes open because I knew that if I should close them for even one instant, I would lose them forever. Forever. The dot grew smaller and smaller. And finally, it just disappeared. That was the last I saw of my family. I never saw them again. By October, when the first snow fell, I was still alive. It barely stuck to the ground. Yet the guards ordered us to take ashes from behind the crematorium to sprinkle on the walkways, so the officers should not fall, or so they said. But we knew it was just an excuse to walk on our families. The pile of ashes was huge, and we called it Weiss Mountain, the White Mountain. That evening, when we returned the wagons to the shed, I looked at Weiss Mountain, and I thought to myself, for all our back-breaking labor that day, it seemed we had hardly put a dent in it. The High Court, in its infinite wisdom, decided that Eichmann should be hanged, cremated, and his ashes scattered in the most desolate places so that he would have no final resting place. I watched as the flames engulfed the coffin, And I thought to myself, this is justice. I stood rooted to the spot for hours, it seemed, until his ashes were finally placed before us. I looked down and I was amazed. I was amazed at how little remained of the man. And my mind raced back to that day in October, and I realized the secret of Weiss Mountain. It was not justice. It was not.